What's up, everybody? I know it's been a minute since I've been on. I haven't really been on social media too much. But when I do come on, which is very briefly, but I've just been seeing some things that, I don't know, it's concerning. I'll say that. It's very concerning. Sometimes it's irritating. And I wanted to make a video talking about it. I see so much shade thrown at people for doing what they feel is best for them to do. I see shade thrown for people having weaknesses, people having bad habits, people having struggles. And to me, a lot of it is clout chasing. Some of it is capping, because a lot of people trying to act like they doing something. It's irritating because a lot of it is inhumane. And wanted to talk about it just a little bit. First thing I wanted to talk about is the most obvious that we've all been watching people deal with and everything, and it's with these COVID vaccines. I don't know why it's like it is, but it's crazy, man. Like, this has become very ridiculous, in my opinion. Because it's a lot of adults who are acting like children to me. I'll say, first off and foremost, I am not vaccinated. At this point in time, I do not believe I will be getting vaccinated. However, with that being said, I have no ill feelings, no bad things to say about anybody who does get vaccinated. I don't. I will say I hope, just like whether you get vaccinated or not vaccinated, I hope people are doing what they're doing. I hope people are doing what they're doing for the reason of what's best for them, rather than to join any, I guess, quote unquote, crew. Because that's concerning. But at the end of the day, it's not that concerning, because that's on you if you do that. But I have noticed vaccinated people who like to attack unvaccinated people. And I think that's what started it. That's what started it, is when vaccinated people started attacking people who were not vaccinated, believing that the reason the COVID disease is spreading is because people are not getting vaccinated, which is just more of people not really understanding. And I can understand why people wouldn't understand what the vaccine is actually for, what it was developed to combat, why people are getting it. But anyway, yeah, I noticed that. And then, of course, as what happens all the time, unvaccinated people started reciprocating, and they started disrespecting people who were getting vaccinated. I think it's hilarious because neither party has a concrete foundation on why people should do what they're doing. It's all skeptical. It's skeptical about not getting vaccinated. It's skeptical about getting vaccinated. Actually, non-vaccinated people have always shown the skeptics. It's not that they're saying, well, I have heard some say some outlandish things, but most people just don't trust it. And I think that's cool. I mean, I know personally with me, before I do anything, you have to prove to me, after me being a reader and researching and knowing how history works and knowing how the medical industry is, I don't trust the medical industry. Not even at a mid-level. But at the end of the day, my concern is not even if you get vaccinated or unvaccinated. Why can't people just respect other people's choices? With the masks, I wear a mask. I wear a mask faithfully. I'm about to go in the store now. I wear a mask. I don't have an issue with somebody who doesn't wear a mask. People not wearing a mask, just like people not getting vaccinated. All of this affects you. It doesn't affect anyone else. It affects you. So if you don't wear a mask, it affects you. Some will say, well, if they don't wear a mask, then they can get the COVID and pass it on to somebody else. The only way they pass it on to somebody else is if that other person isn't practicing safety precautions by wearing a mask. Now, as far as their home situation, that's still on them. If I live with my wife and I'm out here with no mask on and I catch COVID, and I go home and I give it to my wife, that's affecting me. I'm going to lose. I've just infected somebody I care about. So like I said, that still affects you. And if the wife ain't complaining about them not wearing a mask, then why should I? Same thing with the vaccines. The vaccines is meant for you. The vaccine, first of all, the biggest misconception is that the vaccine keeps you from catching a COVID. You can still catch COVID with the vaccine. You can still have some of the after effects of having COVID with the vaccine. Some being crucial, You can still die with the vaccine. Of course, those cases are few and far between, but I've heard people say that the cases are few and far between, but the cases are few and far between of people dying of COVID. So I just think it's crazy. But yeah, that's one thing. I just wish people would just shut up and let people do what they want to do. It's not affecting me. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm seeing people walk around freely. I worry about them, but I don't worry about me. I got on my mask. Every time I walk in, I got a thing of sanitizer in my car. I wipe down my wheel and everything with wipes and stuff. I practice it, and I haven't caught COVID at all since the outbreak started. Unless I had it and I just didn't know, but I had no symptoms to say I had it. That's a possibility that I had it, but even still, I was practicing safety precautions. So I don't believe I would pass it on to anybody. Nobody I've come in contact with has said they've got it after coming into contact with me either. So, but that's one thing. Another thing I noticed in Chicago, Kanye West has been doing a release party or something like that. And recently he had his house that he grew up in built in the middle of, I think, the United Center. And apparently it was a presentation. I have no horse in the race. I'm a fan of Kanye, but old Kanye before his mom passed. But I don't have anything against him other than his music. I don't have anything against. It's the other things like saying black people had a choice in slavery and him supporting Trump, which I do attribute some of these things being to the loss of his mother. A lot of people don't understand how the loss of a parent, especially when you're real close with them, can affect you. Anyway, my problem is I've been noticing people from Chicago ridiculing people who went to the concert. It's just, and this is what I mean when I say people are like clout chasers. Like, clout chasers try to act like they trying to make some kind of logical reasoning or anything like that, but they're usually trying to push themselves up on a pedestal because they didn't do something or they don't do something. I see it a lot with weight loss, people losing weight. I see it a lot with people obtaining degrees, people starting businesses, people buying properties. They act like they're trying to encourage you to do it, but they're really trying to just pat themselves on the back and get a spotlight on them. They trying to get clout. I see that a lot. I don't understand why people was upset with folk going. We are still living in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know about you, but in my life, since last April, death has been so prominent in my life, more so in this past year than it had been in the 37 years before. It's been so prominent. Like it's almost like every month, at least one or two people that I know dies. And that has not happened That has not happened before. And it's been like a consistent since April. Since April. Every month, 1 to 2 people have died. It may be more. It could be more. But at least one person has died that I was like in direct connection with. It's crazy, man. But I'm saying that because it's a rough time for a lot of people. People just want to let some steam off, have a good time. You know, I saw people throwing shade at folk who travel. I don't throw shade at people who traveling. I personally am not traveling because I don't like how the airlines are approaching things with the COVID-19 virus. But hey, that's on them. You know, I'd rather take a road trip somewhere, you know, where I'm driving by myself, which I might be starting to do every now and again. But people went to that concert to let off steam. I've had more friends lose their parents. I'm 39, so I'm talking about people who are younger than 40 losing their parents, who are not older people. I'm talking people in their 50s. You know, I lost my mom in April of last year. It wasn't to COVID, but I still lost my mom in April of last year. My mom was 59, you know. So, you know, people are losing loved ones, sisters, brothers, cousins, fathers, grandparents. People are looking for a way to just release. We think the only way for mental health and emotional health is by running to a therapist. That is one way. But having good times helps. Being around people that you care about helps. Listening to music that you love helps. Going out into the middle of nature and just putting your feet in a running brook, that helps. Sunlight helps. These things help. So why try to ridicule somebody, you know, for trying to just have a good time? I'm laughing at Chicago folk because you can't do nothing with a lot of these. And I'm gonna put a title on the types of people with these so-called educated, successful black folk having something to say. And in our black community, we have a big problem when people make it to a certain income level. They have a certain amount of degrees. They have a career or whatever. They love clowning people who are from where they come from, but they still there. And it's a way of clout chasing. It's a way of capping. Because a lot of people be capping, saying they built themselves up from nothing. People had co-signers, people giving them money and stuff like that. But I'm saying that because that's the number of people I usually be seeing do it. You know, they try to clown folk who just trying to escape, you know, from their reality, which is a torment for them. I mean, I've been living in such a tormented reality for most of my life. And it has gotten nothing but worse as I got older. And when my mom passed last year, I felt like I was in a make-believe world and just living in a nightmare, you know, to this day. And I've done some unhealthy things. I've gained a lot of weight from unhealthy eating. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like exercising. I try to exercise and wake up in the morning. You just don't feel like it. Working jobs that you hate, but you got to work them to survive, you know, because of it's so many different things. And few people don't have to go through a lot of things that most people do. I remember I was talking to a lady on social media. She had a pretty decent life, I suppose. And she was just like, why are people talking about they can't find a job? I see wanting signs and hiring signs all over. I said a lot of people are tired of working jobs where they're barely making ends meet, and they're going through so much mentally and emotionally at the job. Like, people want just a job that pays decent, and they ain't got to go through hell for 8 hours a day, you know. And she said, I really am just asking, because she said I never had to experience working bad jobs and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's an experience that is not a majority of people are able to say they didn't have to have that experience. Most people have to go through that. And because you didn't have to go through it, understand you're a minority in a group of people, you know. But yeah, man, I just been paying attention to it. You know, I see these weight loss videos, people saying I hate when people say all you have to do. I hate that. And what I notice is most people who have anything to say about weight loss have never been overweight. There are a few who do, and they have been overweight, and most of them are just capping and clout chasing. But a lot of people ain't never been overweight. I love the story about, and I love seeing when the trainers gain weight to understand their clients better. And I remember I read a story about a trainer who, he said he felt like he never could connect to his clients because he had never been overweight. You know, he wasn't always as athletic and fit as he was, but he was never overweight. And he said he wanted to understand what his clients went through. So he gained, I think, 50 pounds or something like that, and then went through the process of losing it. Remember, this is a certified personal trainer. He's a professional in his line of business. And he said trying to lose that 50 pounds was the hardest thing he ever had to do in his life. And he said he had a newfound respect, appreciation, and empathize with his clients, and it made him a better trainer. He said he used to think that people who were overweight were lazy, they just weren't trying hard enough, until he went through it. I think that's not just with weight loss. I think that's a lot of people who have something to say about people who are not financially doing well, people who don't have businesses, people who don't have properties or houses, people who are not fit, people who don't have established careers. Some of y'all have never really had to endure nothing. You've endured some things, but you think what you've endured is what most people would endure, and they just not trying hard enough. What you've had to endure isn't even that big compared to what majority of people going through. And I don't mean to try to demean what you've been through. I'm not saying that what you've been through wasn't a lot for you, but what you've been through is not on the same level as what a lot of folk in general have to go through. You know, a lot of folk don't have support. A lot of people don't have a good support system. Some people don't have people who are able to bail them out when they doing bad. You know, so that hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Some people are not able to even find out what they should do as a career. If I told one guy, because he started a shop, you know, I started about it. I said, man, look, I said, I ain't gonna lie to you. I said, if I had a passion for cutting hair, it's like your path is laid out for you once you understand it. Like, it's easy to know exactly what you should do. If I know I have a passion for cutting hair. But if you don't know what you have a passion for, or what you have a passion for, it's not easy. It's not even a laid out path to obtain a career and be successful in that career and make a living in that career on that path. Or if you find it out later in life, when you already have bills, children, things like that, the path gets harder and harder, you know. So instead of throwing shade, ask people. I wish people would just sit down. If you really want to know something, ask people. Rather than looking where people, I learned by talking to a homeless man when I was in my younger days. I worked at Subway. And when I walked to the train downtown Chicago, it was a homeless man who I always would stop and talk to. Sometimes I get him a sandwich and bring it to him. You have no idea what people have endured or what people endure on a daily basis or in their past. This homeless man was one of the most intelligent people I'd ever, and the most humane person I've ever dealt with, you know. And I learned through him, because I used to look at homeless people, you know, people ask for to get a job, you know, do that. I stopped that immediately. I'm not quick to give people money, but you know, if I'm where we can get something to eat, or if I got some food in the car, like you know how I eat unhealthy sometimes, and if I have some chips and a honey bun or something in the bag, and I see a dude out asking for money, I give him that food, because you don't know what that person has gone through. And one of the things I hate in this country, we treat animals, homeless animals and stray animals, more humanely than we treat actual homeless people, humans. It's crazy to me. Like, we have more empathy and sympathy for a dog that's hurt in the street than we would for a man that's hurt in the street. It's crazy, man. I don't know how we'll get back to being more humane. Like I said, I've had to recognize it in myself, you know, and I think we're trained to be that way. I think we are. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I'm finna go. I love y'all. Hope everybody's doing well. Pray for me as I pray for you, man, because I've been going through. All right.